if you have a student athlete in your life, it's important to take heat like this seriously. Heat stroke is the third most common cause of sudden death among high school athletes, and it's right behind cardiac arrest and traumatic brain injuries. This is according to the National Center for Catastrophic Sport Injury Research. Now, I recently visited a Virginia high school to see how they're keeping athletes safe on days like today.
Let's go.
On a hot August afternoon in Arlington,
We're moving the ball on you. Let's go.
the Yorktown High School varsity football team is gearing up for their first game of the season.
Senior season is going to be a big one.
Just go out there, hit hard, no matter what the weather is. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
While the players' enthusiasm is infectious, the reality is that weather plays a big factor in how these students practice.
You need to have your body prepared and adapted to the heat.
Dr. Francis O'Connor is a sports medicine specialist and expert on exertional heat illness prevention.
Usually acclimatization and adaptation take at least 7 to 10 days.
The National Federation of High School Sports recommends that students start practice for the season in helmets only.
Right.
After 3 days, move up to shoulder pads and then progress up to full pads when the weather isn't too hot. A decision typically made by a team's athletic trainer.
ATCs have been shown to be worth their weight in gold. They take care of these athletes and interface with the coach to make sure that you're leveraging acclimatization. And they've got an eye on each individual athlete and their risks in protecting them.
Are these new cleats for you, old cleats? They may be too small or too narrow.
Meet Lene Coleman-Burke.
I don't want you just pushing through it if it continues to be a problem.
Head athletic trainer at Yorktown High School.
Feel that?
And then some.
I feel like the mom out here on the field.
Lene is with these players at every practice and every game, home and away.
My duties are mainly to keep them safe and keep them playing. Once it gets above a certain temperature, we start to make modifications to their equipment. Heat index is the bottom number. That's the feel-like temperature. If it's unsafe for them to be outside, then we have to move them to another environment.
That can be anything from inside to a shaded area. Even simply moving to grass versus artificial turf can make a big difference. You oftentimes hear us talk about the humidity and how that can make temperatures feel even hotter than they actually are. But here on the field, you also have to think about the turf. This surface can actually absorb and retain heat and can make temperatures feel up to 10 degrees hotter than they already feel.
There we go! It's like a fine ratio. You're trying to make sure that they're as healthy as can be and you want to push them as much as you can. But you also know that at some point that's detrimental to their health, right?
Go, give them a break. Water it up.
Water it up. It affects your practices too. If your kids are sluggish and they're dehydrated, you're not going to get the performance out of them. And so it's always good to have them hydrated and, performing their peak performance, really.
And these athletes recognize the importance of taking care of themselves.
A lot of it is just preparation leading up to the day.
Hydrating throughout the day before practice. So when you come to practice, you're already hydrated. Eating well, sleeping well, resting well helps a lot in the heat.
We deserve some more. Good D, boys, good D.
Heat that we're seeing more and more of. Climate Central has crunched the numbers, and since 1970, Washington, D.C. has seen a 10-day increase in annual days above 90 degrees. A change that Lene has noticed in her 12 years working with the team.
We absolutely have had to have more modifications to our practices since I first came on board.
Oh, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh.
And Yorktown High School is so lucky to have Lene because not all schools have the funding for an athletic trainer. And like you heard, they're oftentimes the best line of defense. Experts also say another critical component to keeping athletes safe is having an emergency action plan.